welcome to Cool Schools on WSYR Plus. I'm Bob Driscoll. This is the show where we talk about anything happening in schools across Central New York. Today we're joined by Fulton Superintendent Doug Lawrence. Doug, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to talk about a number of topics today. I want you to kind of introduce yourself, talk about what you want to do with the district, tell us about your past. I do want to touch on a couple of issues first, though. Recently, you had several students impacted in your district from the raids at the factory. Can you tell us what the status is now on that? Have any of the students returned?
Sure. So several of the students have returned back to school. I think the students who have ongoing concerns or issues are really our older students who are mostly high school age. They had one or both of their parents who are lacking employment now as a result of the raid. So they've kind of taken on the position of needing to find work themselves, wanting to provide for their families. So I think that's been kind of our most challenging group right now, is trying to get those students back connected to school while also understanding that they need to help support their families.
How is their mood, like the students that were impacted? I mean, are their spirits high? Like, how have you had a chance to talk with any of them?
I think in general they're in pretty good spirits considering. Obviously, I think just overall their families, there's a lot of questions or concerns. They're really not sure what's going to happen long term with their families or their home situation. In our case, the majority of these students are elementary age students, so I'm not sure how much they fully understand what they're going through. So school seems to be a great outlet for them, where they can see their friends, their teachers, and people who are supporting them. So we're trying to make things as positive as possible for them when they're in our buildings.
Now, the first day of school, you actually got a call from a parent, right? Can you tell us what that was like?
Yes. So actually, first day of school, we had gotten all of our students into their classrooms. We thought we were off to a great start. I had just left one of our elementary buildings and received a call from one of our directors who had mentioned that a staff member received a call from a parent saying that they were a part of a raid. We weren't even sure where it was happening. So I turned around and went back to the elementary building that had been reached out to. And from there, it was a little bit chaotic, trying to figure out what was real, what wasn't. A lot of rumors were swirling at that point. But luckily, that parent gave us that initial information, and we were able to then start working with others in the area to try to figure out which students were impacted. And for us in these situations, there's not a lot that we can control, so we decided to focus on what we could control, and that was making sure we had structures in place for our students, for their safety and welfare, making sure they had someone to return home to at the end of the day.
I want to switch now quickly to the cell phone policy.
Yes.
We're a couple weeks in now. This is new for every district, or majority of districts. How's it working out so far?
So far, knock on wood, we haven't had any issues. We did have a pretty strong policy in place last year, so I think our students were used to keeping their phones away, which helped us quite a bit in this transition so far.
Some of the schools we've heard from the past couple of weeks have said that they've noticed that kids are actually kind of enjoying it a little bit. You know, the old traditional interaction from when we were back in school, where you didn't have your phone, you had to actually talk to people. Have you noticed since you implemented the policy and even this year that kids are kind of enjoying it a little?
We have, and actually that's feedback we've received directly from some of our students, and saying that they, again, because we had a pretty good policy previously, they experienced this a little bit, but even more so now, where students are engaged a little bit more with each other in the hallways. Cafeteria, it's a little noisier now compared to the way it was in the past, probably a little bit more like when we were in school, which is a good thing.
Parents have reached out to us, and this is something I've talked to a few superintendents on this show about, like if they need to get in touch with their kids, if they're concerned, what's the best way?
Main office, calling the main office, and we will contact the students and bring them down, or get whatever message needs to be brought to the students. We can do that. Again, similar to when we were in school. That's a lot of the conversations I've had with parents, reminding them that, hey, when you were in school, you didn't have a cell phone either, and we all made it. We all survived. Our parents were able to get in touch with when there was an emergency situation.
As I've said in past shows, I'm kind of glad we didn't have cell phones when we were in school. I want to switch gears now and kind of let people get an introduction to you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So excited to be joining the Fulton City School District. The past 11 years, I was in the Liverpool Central School District in various roles. Started there as the executive principal at the high school, became the executive director of secondary education there. The past 3 years, I was the deputy superintendent, and then for a good portion of last year, I was the interim superintendent. So this felt like a great time to make a transition. Felt like I was ready to take on my first superintendency, and have really been enjoying it. Father of 2 girls who are great to live with and keep us busy. My wife and I very busy. A lot of our time is devoted to family time with them, and I have a sophomore in high school, a sophomore in college, and just have a blast hanging out with them.
Speaking of college, just out of curiosity, where did you go to college?
SUNY Oswego.
Oswego.
I did my undergrad, so getting a little bit closer to where I went to college.
That's good. It's always nice to be, I did 2 years at Morrisville and graduated from New Paltz, so I've, kind of been in the state area
Sure.
too. Tell us a little bit more about your time at Liverpool. You spent several years there. What were some of your big accomplishments there, do you think?
So I think at the building level in particular, we really tried to focus on bringing a new collaborative style to our building, especially among our staff. Professional learning communities was something that we tried to put in place and instill. That's something that we have in Fulton as well. So it's been nice to see something that I helped work on in Liverpool already being in place in Fulton, so making my transition there even easier, and something that I think is very effective for staff.
Do you see some other similarities between Fulton and Liverpool? They're not too far apart.
Actually, there are quite a few similarities, and I think first with student demographics are much more similar than people really would think about. But I also think just the focus on students and our student needs as far as preparing them for future careers. Both school districts were absolutely focused on not just let's get all of our students prepared for college, really understanding that college may not be the answer for a lot of our students, and dedicating a lot of time and efforts to preparing students for careers and the skills they need for those careers.
And I've noticed that's a great point, because I've noticed that with some other districts I've talked to recently too, like the type of classes kids are taking are different, with the change in technology, with Micron coming on board. Do you see anything like that happening in the future where you're going to focus on maybe, more classes or curriculum that's on those topics, those areas?
Yes. So in my prior district, we did a lot of work focused on career and technical education. And that's something that in talking with folks at Fulton, they would like to do a little bit more of. I think in Fulton we're doing a really nice job connecting our students with BOCES programs, but I think we would like to start exploring doing a little bit more in-house. BOCES is a great avenue for our students to focus more on career and technical ed, but we do know that a lot of students don't want to leave our buildings. So what can we do within our buildings that's very similar? Without duplicating what BOCES is doing, and providing our students with those opportunities in our 4 walls each day. So that's something that we'd like to focus on in the future.
No, this is just Liverpool you have experience in. You've been around the area for a while, right? Can you tell some of your other roles?
Sure. Prior to working in Liverpool, I was at Fayetteville Manlius for 6 years as an assistant principal. Had a great experience there. Loved my time at FM. And again, I think that really set me up well. 2 very different communities, working in the Fayetteville Manlius community in comparison to Liverpool, but again, set me up pretty well for my transition in administration.
It was kind of going to be my next point too. Like having all these different roles, different levels, different districts. Do you think that helped better prepare you for now being the superintendent here in Fulton?
I do. So I've always been a firm believer in trying to get as many experiences under your belt before you take on something like a superintendency. I think oftentimes people are pushed or rushed into these positions, and I tried to do the opposite. I wanted to get as much experience as possible in many different roles, because the superintendency, you really are overseeing everything, and you really need to have a good understanding of how the district functions in all ways before taking on that main leadership position.
You are now the superintendent, obviously. So how would you describe your leadership role? Like, what do you see as your style going forward through this year?
So highly collaborative. I really do think it's a team approach within any school district. That's one thing goal-wise. I want to make sure that we have a culture within our district where we all feel comfortable working with each other. It's a positive culture. Without taking care of the culture piece, I think it's hard to accomplish really anything else. So for me, right off the bat, is trying to establish that with my superintendent team, our principals, and our teachers, and really all of our support staff, and making sure that we're all working together really well in order to support our students.
Brings my next point, the mental health aspect. Mental health, school safety, very important to parents right now with everything that's going on in the world. How are you making sure students' mental health stays on track and that the school is safe? Like, what steps is the district taking?
So I think going back to what I just mentioned with culture, I think as long as we're providing our students with a space that they do feel comfortable going to each and every day, that they feel supported, I think that's step number one in helping their mental health needs. That helps them to open up to us about what their needs truly are. I think similarly with our staff, making sure they're in a good place, where they're happy and excited to come to work and to support our students. Our students absolutely feel that in our buildings. If we have a happy, positive staff, typically that trickles down to our students. So that's a priority. And same thing from a safety aspect, making sure that our building is secure as possible. If it isn't, if there's concerns, that we're addressing those and really talking things through with parents. And it's a big deal to send your child off to a building full of people who may be strangers to you, and entrusting them throughout the day. And we want to make sure that we're responsive to their questions, concerns, and doing the things that they think, okay, my kid's in good hands today. And I know I feel that way as a parent as well.
Now, it can't be the snow. So what made you choose Fulton as a place you wanted to work? Because I know it's not the snow. Nobody needs all that snow, right?
No. It'll be interesting this winter. Everyone in town has warned me. Get ready. So as I mentioned before, there are quite a few similarities between Liverpool and Fulton, and I think that was one of the first things that opened my eyes to the opportunity. The other piece, though, and I've really been learning this, and I'm glad that I've been able to take on this job, is when I was exploring Fulton, I was looking at the amount of opportunities that we currently offer for our students, and that you don't find that everywhere. So as I did more and more research on the district, started to learn, okay, we have some great programs in place, but clearly our Board of Education, our community, they're really devoted to supporting our students and wanting our students to walk away with great skills and ready to take on the next phase of life. So for me, reading into that and doing my research, that was something that attracted me right away.
Now, you've mentioned some of your goals already, but what is your main priorities going into the school year? Your main focus, your main goals?
So main goals, as I mentioned, that culture piece right away, really reaffirming that we have a positive culture for our students and our staff, wanting to make sure that they understand this is and feel like this is a place they want to go at each and every day. From there, it's then focused a little bit more on, okay, our systems that we have in place. So I'm the new guy coming in. Prior to me showing up there's already been a strategic plan that's been put in place. There's already been a mission, a vision, which is great. And I explained this to our staff on our opening day. I'm the one who needs to adapt and change to that. They put that together. They collaborated on that as a staff well before they ever thought of me being their superintendent. So now it's me adapting, but then working with them, identifying things that, hey, we think this is going really well. Let's put our time into more of these opportunities. Great. Or here are some things that we don't feel like are going well. Do we continue moving forward with these systems, or do we make some changes and work on that together? So goes back to your question earlier about being collaborative. I think it's really important as the superintendent to have those collaborative conversations with our staff and working together on any change. And that was something big I tried to explain to them. is there going to be change down the road? Absolutely, but it's not going to be change initiated by me. It's going to be us working together.
So you're basically the new kid in class. How does that
I
feel?
am the new kid in class, and really trying to learn new systems, names, faces. That's, I think, the most challenging piece is just trying to learn new acronyms. In education, we love our acronyms. There will be times they'll throw some of those at me in a meeting, and I have no clue what they're talking about, and have to ask for a little extra support.
Oh yeah, and hopefully none of my coworkers watch this and call me out on it, but I'll get texts from them that have some of those acronyms in it, and I'll like Google it on my phone, like what are they talking about, right?
Yes.
Have you had a chance to talk with some students or teachers so far this school year? I know we're only a couple weeks in. What are they saying to you about things that they want to see happen or how things are going?
So I have had quite a few conversations with teachers and students. Walking around our buildings, being able to have some quick conversations with students. It's great to see them and hear from them what they're enjoying. I think there's just an overall excitement of being back in school. In another month, conversations might be a little bit different once everyone settles in. Our staff as well feels like a very positive vibe in our buildings, and that we're off to a really good start. We're in open house season now, so last couple of nights we've been at open houses. Have one again tonight, so we get to hear a little bit from students, parents, and staff at those as well, just about their overall experiences. This school year, and for all school districts, but we've had one established in the past, we do have a Board of Education, a student who's on the Board of Education, and so it's really good to hear feedback from her. She's doing a nice job and just giving us a pulse for our school district of how things are going day to day and what our students are looking for as well.
Something we all kind of had to learn when the pandemic started was Zoom, remote learning, that kind of stuff. What's your opinion on remote learning? I know there's kind of mixed opinions out there on if it helps. Is it better just to, take a snow day, or can you have kids do remote learning? Like, what's your theory on that?
So I think it's a great opportunity for learning, and in cases of if it's a bad weather day and we really need to still have instruction, it's a great opportunity. I think there's obviously issues with that if it becomes our full-time avenue for learning. In person has proven to be the best way for most people to learn, but it has its advantages. So.
A few weeks back, I had Marco Pani on to talk about Fulton School Champions, where your district honors staff or people who have made commitments to the school. How important is that for morale? You were talking about morale earlier. Like, how important is that program? I know it's got like national recognition.
It is. It's. I think school districts often struggle with that. How do we honor the people that are working hard each and every day and finding new or unique ways to do that? So I feel very fortunate coming into Fulton where they have something that's established and in place. Actually, when I was preparing for my new position, I was watching a lot of those and seeing the not just the staff members who were being honored, but also seeing the students involved and excited for their teachers or for the principal or whoever they were honoring. It just brings a very positive vibe to the building, to the district. Great program, and I look forward to that continuing on moving forward.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that too when I was watching some of the videos, and just you could tell the kids were generally happy to surprise the teachers and stuff. So
Yes.
It's just something fun to do, right? That kind of gets
Absolutely.
people recognized. What would you say some of your passions are when it comes to education? Like, what made you get into it?
So I think the number one piece was just making sure all students have opportunities to learn and grow. I wasn't someone who, as a high school student, I didn't think I would ever become an educator. I thought I was going down the pathway of the medical pathway, and education wasn't something that was on my mind. It wasn't until I got into college and started to realize, okay, being a doctor, I don't think that's for me, and started to realize that most of my life I had been working with kids, with students and coaching, and my parents convinced me that, hey, I think this is really the right pathway for you, and it's been great, and really I know I've evolved, learned and grown over the years, and but at the heart of that has been wanting to make sure all students really have an opportunity to succeed.
If it makes you feel any better, I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid, and I didn't quite make that either.
Yeah.
So it's okay to change your mind.
Yeah, it is.
And that's kind of the cool thing about high school, especially now with like the technology evolving and the careers evolving in Central New York. You can think you want to do something, try out a bunch of other different things, and then pick what's right. And that's kind of what you mentioned with the collaborations and stuff, where it's a good chance for students to get that kind of experience, right, and find their passion.
And sometimes that is the piece that is lost, but it is sometimes the most important is when students experience something and they realize, oh, I don't want to do this. High school's a great time, middle school's a great time for them to start figuring that out, that I don't want this, but I do kind of like this area over here, and we give them a lot of opportunities to gravitate towards what they really want.
You started this role over the summer officially. What's your initial impression so far?
I've been enjoying it. Very supportive team in Fulton. Our Board of Education has been extremely supportive. So, it's been a very positive start for me in my career in Fulton. Obviously, our first day of school having to deal with an ice raid, that wasn't something that I expected, but through that, it really gave me a good opportunity to take a look at my team and see how they function. At a time where it's difficult, and everyone did a great job. So it just underlined even more for me. This has been a great move.
What do you think some of the areas the school can grow are in? Like, are there certain programs you want to see grow, certain career paths maybe that are more of a focus? Like, what do you want to see improve or strengthen?
Well, you had mentioned the changes to our region or our area because of Micron coming into the area. So I think manufacturing and really focusing on what opportunities we can provide our students at the high school level to better prepare them for the changes in our region. That's something that we absolutely have to hop on. We've started some work in that regard, but we know that that's something we have to continue to expand upon. It's obviously something that's going to change our region forever. I think we have a great opportunity for our students to either work for Micron or other supporting businesses, and we really need to get on that early on and better prepare our students for those opportunities.
In your opinion, what makes a school successful? Is it the academics? Is it the environment? Like, what makes a school stand out to you?
I think it's all of those things. So academically, we might look at test scores. We get caught up in test scores quite a bit, which are important. But I think it's more importantly the growth that we see in our students. So if we aren't seeing growth, then we have a problem, and how are we going to change that? So all of our students, they learn and grow differently, and I think as long as we're focused on, okay, we're seeing our students learn and grow, we're in a good place. But then also that culture piece of, is it a positive learning environment for our students? Do we have athletics programs that are being successful, and our students and our families feel involved, and we have that positive culture happening as well? It's really a big conglomerate of things that are all functioning at the same time and in a positive way.
Something that's also growing fast is AI, artificial intelligence. Have you seen where that's popping up in school districts, either in a good way or a negative way?
So we are seeing that quite a bit popping up. I think our students are using AI much more than we even realized. They won't admit that in a lot of cases when we've had conversations with them. They kind of shy up on what they're really doing with AI. But I know from our end with our staff, that's been much more of a focus. How can we use AI as administrators, as teachers, as support staff to be more effective and more efficient in our jobs? But then also, how can we use this in our classrooms as well with our students and preparing them for, again, these jobs that we don't even know what's going to exist in 10 years, but we do know that AI is going to play a role in that. So how do we better educate our students and prepare them for that?
The days of the card catalog in the school library are probably gone, right?
They still exist.
Oh, they still exist.
It's
Wow, impressive.
in a different format in a lot of cases, but yeah.
What's new at Fulton this year? We're only a couple weeks into the school year, but is there anything new or any plans in the future for new buildings, programs, anything like that?
So I think the big thing that we've tried to focus on this school year, and it's really just starting to roll out with our students, is goal setting. it's part of our strategic plan as a school district, but something that we're trying to focus on with our students and our staff, and making sure elementary all the way through high school that our students are all setting goals, understand the importance of setting goals, and how that's really a skill that they can use no matter what direction they go in life after they leave our district. And then doing the same with our staff, and really putting our goals at the center of what we're doing and reflecting on those, and trying to build on our goals as we move forward. So it seems like something very simple, but not something that we often focus on. And so that's something that we've just started rolling out with our students right now, and making sure they understand what goal setting is, and how it can be a very powerful tool. And then really next month we'll get into the heart of, okay, time to set goals, everyone, and that's going to be something we'll focus on all year.
I always save the tough one for last. What is your final message to students heading throughout the school year?
Final message for students is we want you to be involved. We want our students to be present in our buildings. So I think you've probably heard with other superintendents coming through that attendance is something that's a concern statewide, nationwide. Something that we're focused on as well. I think number one message for students is we want you in school. We want you in our classrooms. We want you with us learning. If there's concerns, we have the supports in place that we can help students. And we want them to understand that we want them in our buildings. We want them in our classrooms. And from there, I think they will have positive experiences, but goal number one is that we need them with us.
All right, Doug Lawrence, Fulton Superintendent, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And remember, if you have something happening in your school you want us to talk about, you can email me anytime, coolschools@localsyr.com.